Hey friends, Naeem Fazal here. I'm pastor of Mosaic Church, and I am so grateful that you're checking us out. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you a little bit about where we've come from as a church and where we are going. And that brings me to where I've come from. So if you're wondering, where are you really from? And if you thought, man, I think he's Latino. Well, nope, not Latino, Pakistani, yes. But actually, my parents are Pakistani. I'm Pakistani as well, but I grew up, though. I was born and raised in Kuwait, so I don't know if you want to technically call that I'm Kuwaiti. But anyways, I grew up there as a Sunni Muslim, and then came to the States in 1992 after the Gulf War. Survived that war. It was kind of crazy. But then I came here. I had a radical experience with Jesus. It changed and transformed my life. In fact, it gave me kind of like the marching orders, in a sense, or literally purpose to accomplish what he wanted. And that actually led to starting a church called Mosaic Church. And so I know there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of okay, so how and where and all that. Well, here's the deal. I've got two brothers, two sisters, mom and dad, and my siblings have all come to Christ. I actually wrote a book called Ex-Muslim, so you might want to check that out. It's anywhere you find books, You can download it, do whatever you want to do there. But it's got pictures, so that's good. But so that's my story. I want to give you, the birth of Mosaic. So I come to the U.S. and I start attending a church called Seacoast Church. And that church launched Mosaic Church in 2006. And as I was on staff at Seacoast Church, I remember having thoughts of man, this is great. I'm going to do this forever. And I was actually speaking at a service once, and I had this image of a diverse community. Charleston, South Carolina, Seacoast Church is awesome, but I just felt God say, hey, you need to go and do something that you can communicate what I'm all about to a highly diverse population. And I didn't know what that meant. And so 2006, we started Mosaic Church. And it's been amazing to see how God has done some crazy things. I mean, honestly, some amazing, amazing things. And so why did we start Mosaic Church? Is it because God just told me to go reach a diverse group of people? Yes, he did. But as we began to pray about it, as my wife and I began to rethink through it, and we had a team of people come up and start this church, we realized something, that God was calling us to a bigger, deeper, I would say actually, a deeper purpose. And that was to, in fact, understand why we needed to exist as a church. What was the reason why we used to start another church in Charlotte, North Carolina? Because there's a lot of amazing churches in Charlotte and around the world. So why does Mosaic exist? Well, we realized that God was calling us to reclaim the message and the movement of Jesus. That we believe that there is a message and there's a movement that is pure. But then over the years, seemingly, unknowingly or maybe intentionally, I'm not quite sure, people have taken it and turned it to meet their own agenda. And we want to reclaim what it means to be a follower of Jesus, what it means to actually understand the gospel and the scriptures, and what it looks like for us to move in community and grow in community. So that's why we exist, to reclaim the message and the movement of Jesus. Now, before coming into full-time ministry and things like that, I was going to be an art major, and so I love art. And there's a painting that I want to show you. It's called Starry Night. Now, Starry Night's it's an amazing painting, and I want to put it up for you in a little bit. And I want to show you something about it. You're really familiar with it, right? You're probably definitely familiar with it. And it's by who? Vincent van Gogh. Yes. So Vincent van Gogh, in fact, painted this painting, and he wanted to declare the brilliance of God, actually. He, in fact, was in ministry. Yeah, this guy was in full-time ministry at one point. In fact, if you read his story, you realize that this guy was a pastor and, in fact, wanted to do something that was extremely different compared to his peers. What he wanted to reach all the people that he could. And because of him being so focused on people, it actually got him into trouble. He got kicked out of the ministry, and there was a lot of things going on with that. And I can go into detail about his life and detail about that incident, but I want you to know this, is that because of that, he seemingly walked away definitely from ministry, because he got fired on the spot. And then he kind of put a distance between him and the church. Not necessarily Jesus, but definitely the church. And so Starry Night, this amazing painting, is in fact an indictment against the church. Yes, it is. Let me show you. So this painting is amazing, right? It's awesome. And it's about the brilliance of the world. The only place that does not have a light on, if you notice, is the what? The church. It's the only place that doesn't have a light on. All the other lights are on. See, Vincent van Gogh drew this and basically was communicating that there was once light in the church, but no longer is there light in the church. Like he draws this a ginormous tree, if you notice, huge tree. And he's talking about this growth. He's talking about creation, all of which wants to reach the heavens. And the God's glory is everywhere, but it's not in the church. Isn't that fascinating? That seems like when it comes to reaching people, when it comes to light and hope, the church is closed for business. And so that is why I think this idea of reclaiming the message and movement of Jesus is so important. And the time and age we live in right now, people need to know, is this the gospel, what I've heard or grew up with? Is this really what it's all about? Or is there something more? Is church what I experienced, is that it? Or is there something more? See, we believe that it is. We believe that God has called us to really do the best job in communicating what the gospel is all about, what the message of Jesus is all about, and what does the body of Jesus look like, the church look like. And so that's why our mission, friends, okay, if we choose to accept it or not, our mission is this, that we are here to reclaim the message and the movement of Jesus. And we want to reach all the Van Goghs, because we do not want people to walk away from what the beauty of not just the message of Jesus, but also the community and the people of Jesus. See, so often the message communicated by churches is that there is hope for some. And that's why at Mosaic, we are hope for all. That is our driving force. That's kind of our mantra. It's our thing. We want to communicate this hope because it's for all people. Now, that is our why. What is our what? What is our what? What is what we see? So what does it look like, right? I'm glad you asked. What it looks like is a diverse community that lives by faith, that's known by love, and that's a voice of hope. See, faith, hope, and love are these three pillars that we rest our church on. In fact, Paul in the scriptures talks about the fact that these things are the three things that will remain forever. You see, I come from obviously a different background, and when we created this idea of like what this church could look like, I wanted to make sure that if there were people who spoke different languages, who came from a different culture or background, they would understand what we're talking about in terms of what it means to move towards a spiritual discipline, like what it means to be growing in God. And so sometimes it's so confusing. We're like, we got to do this and we got to do that, and there are terms and there are words that people have to understand. And here's the thing, you can't even translate some of those words in a different language. But faith, hope, love translates all day long, every language, and it's meaningful. And so that's why we want to be a community, a diverse community. Why? Because we believe that we are a mosaic of people. You see, what's beautiful about a mosaic is that it's different people, it's different things, different pieces, and they're not perfect. They're broken pieces that come together to make something beautiful. And that's why we believe that we're called to be a mosaic. We are the mosaic that God is creating. And when light shines through a mosaic glass, man, it is amazing. That's what we believe that God wants to do with us. He wants us to come together, broken people, not perfect people, come together and allow His light to shine through us. And when that does, it brings joy and life to so many people. So that's why we are a mosaic of people, a diverse group of people, diverse in every way possible. And then we live by faith. What does that mean? It means that we hunger for what it means to know God. And what it means as a church is that we live out our faith. And personally, it means that you and I are called to discover and be curious about our faith. That regardless where you start off with, you're always growing in your faith. To be known by love. Man, the church is known by so many things. You and I are known for so many things. What would it look like for us to be known for radical love? What would it look like for us to be the first people to choose to love? That we would pre-love people instead of pre-judge people. What would that look like? See, even Jesus said, hey, you're going to be known if you like my association with me, it's going to be connected to your love. He says it. He said, the way you love each other, you're going to be known by the way you love each other. And so, friends, we as a church, we see a church that's diverse, that lives out its faith, that lives by faith, and that's known for love. And then lastly, is a voice of hope. A voice of hope. We believe that God's given us a voice. He's given you a purpose. He's called us to be a part of something, a bigger purpose that He's doing. And I can't even begin to imagine what it is, but I know that I need to step in towards it. And so you need to understand, you are not called to be an echo of anyone else. You have a unique voice, and we want to be the church that fosters it. We want to have a community that is a voice of hope, collectively and individually. We want to be a people that they're known by love, corporately, individually. And we want to be people who live by faith, corporately and individually. We're moving towards something. That is what we see. And then, okay, well, how does that work, right? How is this going to work? Well, there are certain values that we want to live by, that we want us, when we grow together, because it's different than growing personally, individually. When we come together, we want to grow together. There's some values we all need to sign off on. I like the word ethos. It's a Latin word that describes the culture of a place. Like, for example, you've walked into someone's house and you've wondered, okay, should I take my shoes off? Should I not take my shoes off? I'm not quite sure. By the way, have you ever had someone like you don't really know that well and they go to your refrigerator? Do you freak out? Are you one of those people like, what are you doing in my refrigerator? Or are you one of those people like certain rooms you're not allowed to? You have to be a certain level of friend to walk into the master bedroom. Like you can't just be walking into the master bedroom. Why? Because you have these values, you have these ideas. They're ethos of a place. There's a culture to a place. It's a vibe to a place. It's a characteristic spirit of a place. Every church has one too. And so we know that if we all have the same values, guess what? We are going to create what we really want to create. And we've talked about that, right? Diverse community that lives by faith, that's known by love, it's a voice of hope. So what are those values? We've identified 4 values that you and I, we feel this. Like you feel this at Mosaic. I feel it even now. And if you walked in, you're like, I like this place. If you are checking this out, if you're watching this video, you're like, I like it. I like the vibe. Let me tell you why you like it. Because we have a culture, an ethos of 4 things. Number 1, we have a culture of kindness and compassion. We do. Kindness and compassion, not niceness and pity. No. Kindness and compassion. Kindness says, hey, I'll be kind to you because God is kind to me. Nice says, oh, I'll just be nice and not bring anything up. No. Kindness is courageous. It is. We have hard conversations, but we have them with softly. You know, it's different. It's different from just being not bringing up things. No. It's kindness, and then it's compassion. See, compassion and pity are very different things because compassion says, I am just like you, and I feel what you're feeling. And so I will reach out and I'm helping you because I'm just like you. I see myself in you. Pity says, you're not like me. I got resources. I pity you. I'm going to give something to you. That's not our culture. Our culture here, Mosaic, is one of what? Kindness and compassion. Secondly, it's a culture of excellence, and creativity. Now, let me explain excellence to you. It's not because it's not a culture of we always have excellent things. No. We have a culture of stewarding any and all resources we have in an excellent way. The little that we have, the much that we have, the whatever that we have, we're going to do our best, friends, to be good stewards of what God's given us. So if He's given us with a little, guess what? We're going to be faithful with a little. If he's given us a lot, we're going to be faithful with the lot. We have a spirit of excellence. That's why you see creativity, because excellence, that kind of excellence, always gives birth to creativity. Creativity is ideas. And so if you walk around this place, you'll see people that have created stuff. You'll see art on the wall. You'll see the way the place looks. You'll see people just busting out of creativity. Why? Because we want to be good stewards of everything God's given us. So that's the second culture you will feel and sense and kind of, get a vibe of. The third is I don't know how, the best way to describe it is the culture of expectancy and spirituality. Expectancy as in, like, we're just expecting God to do some amazing things. We're expecting good things to happen. See, we believe that the universe is conspiring not against us, but for us. Like, God has turned the universe upside down, in a sense, for us. Not just because we're the center of his attention. No, us as in all of creation. That God is a good God. We expect good things to happen to us. Now, we're not like one of those, hey, everything is peachy and it's all great. No, we have grief and we have moments of intense sorrow. But we do believe that there's an expectancy that, hey, we are going to see a resurrection. We're going to see something that was intended for evil actually be turned to good. And then expectancy and spirituality. Why? Because we believe that we need to be just waiting on God to do incredible things. See, God always works in invisible ways. He's working in your life right now, and we believe that. And so we have a culture, hey, God's here, and he's able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine. You probably heard that passage of scripture somewhere. Now, the last one is this culture of generosity and servitude. And we believe that we serve and we know and we're in relationship with a God who's the most generous with everything. And he's called us to be generous as well. So we believe that there are people who have a lot of resources when it comes to either finances or talent or time. And we are called to be people who give out of that. And so we become people who serve. And that's why we have a culture of servitude, not like not privilege. No, servitude. Why? Because Jesus said, it's the one who serves who's the greatest among you. And so, friends, we are called to do that. And so we have a culture of that. And we have, I say it all the time, we have a church that is a generous church with time, resources, everything. And emotions. I mean, I love that part of us. And if you've been around long enough, you might actually feel that as well. So that's how we want to do it. That's what we want to do. And that's why we want to do what we want to do. So friends, I'd love for you to join us. Be a part of what God is doing at Mosaic. And you know what? I want to have a conversation with Jesus, and I want us to have conversations with Jesus that doesn't look to him and go, okay, Jesus, I'm here. What can you do for me? Okay, now, or for you to come to church or Mosaic and say, okay, church, I'm here, and what can the church do for me? No, friends, we are the church, and we're here for the world. So let's do this together. Hey, love the fact that you took the time to watch this. Let's see what God does as we come together and reclaim the message and the movement of Jesus.